Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love college football as much as I do. Today I'm going to do Texas A&M, and I have a lot more schedules coming out. And if you notice in the title of my videos, from now on, I will not be giving you the record. I'm not going to give it to you until it's the end of the video. I'm taking a page out of Uncle Lou's YouTube channel, his book. Shout out to Uncle Lou. First and foremost, this is probably the worst record I've done so far out of any college football team. Here's the thing. I don't think Mike Elko is a bad coach at all. I think he's the perfect hire for Texas A&M. He had a really good culture going on at Duke. And yes, Texas A&M is a lot more talented than Duke. He'll probably take them further than what he ever could have done with Duke. But Texas A&M's schedule is a whole lot more brutal than Duke's ever would be. So for that reason, and the fact that this is his first season with Texas A&M, they had a lot of players leave, get drafted, go to the transfer portal or whatnot, and I'll be right back in just a second. But I think Texas A&M is in for a rough year for his first year. Because listen to the schedule. You got Notre Dame. You got to go to the Swamp. That's always a tough place to play. Arkansas is not an easy game for Texas A&M. LSU, South Carolina on the road. Might be a night game this year. They got Texas. Good grief, man. That's rough. So let's start this thing off. They host Notre Dame to start the year. I think they lose this game to Notre Dame. Look, and the only reason, I know Texas A&M is talented. They're probably more talented than Notre Dame. But Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman as their head coach, this is his third year as the head coach of Notre Dame. And he's recruiting a lot better in that secondary and wide receiver position than they've ever had. So by his third year, you expect that to really show. And Riley Leonard played for Mike Elko. So if Notre Dame drops this game at Texas A&M, it wouldn't surprise me if Texas A&M were to pull this off when Mike Elko with his first year get a big win. This is the night game, by the way, Saturday night. But I just think program-wise, I think Notre Dame is in a better position. And as far as the line of scrimmage and the toughness, Notre Dame can play with anybody. That's not a problem. That goes for Texas A&M or anybody else you put them in there with. So with that being said, I have Notre Dame winning this game 24-20. Again, if Texas A&M wins, okay, great. I'm not surprised. A&M is going to be a great program. But again, you're taking over a culture that probably wasn't very good with Jimbo Fisher. You're trying to establish yourself. And again, this isn't Duke in the ACC where it's much simpler to build. You're building in the SEC. It's a different animal. Okay? So, yeah. After that, expect 3 wins in a row. They take on McNeese State, they take on Florida on the road, and they come back and take on Bowling Green. McNeese State and Bowling Green, they should beat those two, no problem. 37-3, 27-10. That Florida game is going to be tough for them. Look, and I like to make fun of Florida. I'm a Florida State fan. I love Florida State. I don't like the Gators. But Billy Napier is fighting for his job this year. He went out and got a bunch of great players from that transfer portal. Does he know what to do with it? No, he's not going to know. So even though this game is in the Swamp, this is the only reason why I'm saying this game is going to be any close. Texas A&M will beat Florida 27-21 in a very tough game. A&M's talented by now. Mike Elko is looking for his first big win. That will be a big win for him because it's his first SEC game as a head coach of Texas A&M. At this point, you're looking at 3-1. And then they take on Arkansas in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium like they do every year. They lose this game by a point. Look, I know Arkansas has not been very good with Sam Pittman, but Sam Pittman has had 2 winning seasons. He's had an 8-win season and a 7-win season. Again, that's not great, but he had never been a head football coach before, and he took over for a program in Arkansas that was getting blown up at Western Kentucky. So that tells you how far he's drugged them out of the mud. I know he had a 4-8 year this past year, but before that he had back-to-back winning seasons. And he won bowl games in both of them. So don't write him off just yet. And again, this is Mike Elko's first year. He's building something here. It's going to take him time to do it. I think he's the right guy to do it. But unfortunately, you're going to have to go through learning pains. And I think losing this game to Arkansas will be one of them. Follow that, you're 3-2. You come back home and take on Missouri. I know Missouri had an 11-win season. I do think Eli Drinkwitz is a good coach. I think he's a perfect fit. This past year was his third ever double-digit winning season, whether it was here or at Appalachian State, right? This is going to be a big win for Texas A&M. They win this game in a close game, 28-27. I think they win by a point, and that's huge for them. And then they go back on the road to take on Mississippi State. I know they got Levy or whatever his name is as the head coach. I'm not expecting anything from Mississippi State. Give me Texas A&M to go over there and get a big win to flex themselves a little bit because of the talent that they have. 38-16, they should win no problem. At this point, you're looking at a 5-2 Texas A&M team. This is where it gets tricky. Listen to these next 4 of these next 5 opponents. LSU at home, at South Carolina. I know South Carolina hasn't been very good, but Shane Beamer is a pretty decent coach. I think he's a good coach. I don't see why people are kind of hating on him. You know, again, a similar story to Sam Pittman. He picked up a program that was basically in the garbage can, and this is about to be his 4th year. 2 of those 3 years, he's had 7, 8-win seasons, including a bowl win in his first year when South Carolina wasn't very good. He's beaten Clemson at Clemson in one of those 3 years, and he beat a top 5 Tennessee team in one of those years. So I know he was 5-7 this past year, but South Carolina had a lot of injuries, and again, before this job, he's never been a coach, so leave the guy alone. So for that reason, I know Texas A&M owns South Carolina. They usually beat them. They ain't beating them here either. At South Carolina, it might be a night game, and even if it's not, it's a huge opportunity for South Carolina to win. I know Texas A&M now. Look, some of these wins, like the Notre Dame game, Arkansas and South Carolina, if Texas A&M, they definitely can't win these games. If they do win these games, I won't be surprised. College football, anything can happen. But I think they lose on the road at South Carolina. They come back home, and this is where they get their bowl eligibility. New Mexico State, they should win no problem, 40-7. By the way, they lose to South Carolina 24-21. I don't know if I already said that. And I think they lose at home to LSU. LSU beat them last year. I think they lose this game again. Brian Kelly, again, it's unfortunate for Mike Elko. He's taken on teams that have had a 2nd or 3rd year head coach. I don't think Brian Kelly is an amazing coach. I don't think he's great. I mean, he did do good at Notre Dame. But anytime they were in a big game, national championship, New Year's Six Bowl, that he lost. And again, A&M has the talent to play with anybody. But again, this is Brian Kelly's 3rd year. It's possible he does a lot more with LSU. He hasn't been a failure. He's been doing pretty good. I mean, he's had back-to-back 10-winning seasons. But again, he did that at Notre Dame. So he's getting paid to win a national championship. But I do think he's in a better position program-wise than Texas A&M. It'll probably show in that game. LSU barely wins at Texas A&M 30-24. Again, this is a game Texas A&M could win. But I don't think they do. And then they go back on the road. That's when I said they'd lose to South Carolina. They beat New Mexico State to be bowl eligible. Listen to these last 2 games. Texas and Auburn. Again, Auburn is not as talented as Texas A&M, but Auburn is Auburn. They're tough. They can play with almost anybody when they're half decent. Hugh Freeze has went into that transfer portal, got him some good players, and he recruited really good, especially at the wide receiver position. I know their quarterback from last year, Thorne, whatever his name is. I'm an Auburn fan. I should know, but I don't because I don't care. He's not very good. It's possible now that he has better receivers and more talent to mess with, he can play better. And again, this game is at Auburn. Give me Auburn over Texas A&M, 28-24. And again, not just because I'm an Auburn fan, but again, this is Hugh Freeze we're talking about. He's a really good coach. He's a great winner. This is his 2nd year at Auburn versus Mike Elko his 1st year. I mean, look, and I hate saying it like this, like first-year coaches don't do as well. They usually do. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I do, again, Mike Elko, this is not a knock on Mike Elko. I think he's the perfect fit for Texas A&M. He'll be good for a long-term guy. I think he found his job. But listen to this again. At Auburn, then you finish things on the road at Texas. I have them losing to Texas 27-17. Again, listen to some of these losses. Notre Dame, Arkansas, LSU, South Carolina, even the Auburn and Texas games, all possible wins. But again, Texas A&M's program has not been very good with Jimbo Fisher. You know, they probably don't feel good about themselves. A lot of players left, like their moral probably would be down. There have been other concerns there. Their quarterback is gone. Among other players are gone to the NFL, the transfer portal, and all these things. So I know A&M's talented, but Mike Elko, it's his 1st year. This is his first big test at Texas A&M. Not to say I'm not taking away anything he did at Duke, but it's not as difficult to build something whenever you're in a conference that isn't very good, if I'm being honest. So there you have it. I got Texas A&M going 6-6. And this is worst case. I think A&M could win 7 or 8 games his 1st year. Very well, he could win 10 or more games. Who knows? I mean, with Nick Saban gone, the SEC is up for grabs almost, except for Georgia and Texas. But I mean, who knows? That Texas game, very possible. Talent-wise, they can match up. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. But I got to go with A&M going 6-6. So that's pretty much it for Texas A&M.